The Music Matters podcast. This is episode 4.
4. Oh man, the big 4-0.
Big 4-0. Yeah, dude. I remember that was like a year ago for me.
Yeah.
Yep. 40 years old.
I'm turning 34 this year, so
nice, dude. Yeah. That's a good year.
The numerology, yeah.
34 is a good year. That's when you like that age when you start realizing, oh shit, I haven't done anything. I better get my shit together.
That was definitely 30 for me. I definitely had the there's a name for it, you know, when you
it happened at 25, 30, 35, like
that's just about every year actually now that I think about it.
Every 5 years or so, right? Once you hit 25, you're like, I'm a quarter century years old, bro. Like, I need to get my shit together. And then like 30 hits and you're like, I'm 30, bro. I need to get my shit together.
I'll figure it out next year.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, today, what have you been up to though? Like this last week? Because it's been about a week since we shot our last podcast.
Yeah,
right?
just about everything. I don't even like talking about my life anymore because too much is going on. Mostly meetings, good meetings. So
that's good.
Yeah,
better than bad meetings.
Yeah, but making money, making meetings, and I guess the Grammys are going to be what, tomorrow?
Yeah,
you going? Me?
Jinx?
No, I just I might go to a couple parties. Been invited, but
yeah.
Well, what's the cost to get into that?
Oh, I don't know. I just got invited.
Okay.
I know, like...
I guess I'm not popping enough, guys.
No, it's... I think this year Sony is sponsoring it, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know Will Martins?
Oh, Will from Brazil?
Yeah.
I know that
so
guy.
he works at Sony, so he was like, hey, man, you want to go to the Grammys with me? I'm like, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But yeah, tomorrow is Grammys. It's Saturday today. But Grammy parties, I think, are kind of the fun thing about Grammy weekend. You know? So there's probably a bunch of parties going on right now while we shoot this podcast for you guys.
That's why I was taking so many meetings, is because everybody's basically in town for the Grammys. So.
Yeah, which is sick.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of the parties and stuff got canceled because of the fires.
Yeah.
So I know like the big parties, you know.
The Diddy parties.
They did. It's good they canceled
the freak offs.
It's good they canceled those. Yeah, free baby oil at the door. Get greased up. It's time for a Grammy party. Yeah, nobody wants to be going to those kind of parties. I mean, unless you're into that kind of stuff. But yeah, dude, today let's talk about some AI stuff, because
everybody loves talking about AI. So
well, it's kind of hard not to, because it feels like, for me personally, I turn on the computer, I go to YouTube, because, you know, I make content and I do like tutorials, mixing, mastering, production stuff. And I just love doing it, right? Or else I would never do it, because it's a lot of work. Like these podcasts, right? We just set up like 2 4K cameras. We got the, you know, everything set, lighting and all this shit. Plants, you know.
We got some plants, you see?
Yeah, you know, we're in the jungle. But yeah, it's a lot of work. So if you don't love it, then why do it, right?
Yeah.
But every time I turn on YouTube or whatever, now my algorithms like got me down for the AI shit, right? So like new videos on like AI and Suno Audio and like lawsuits and, you know, and then, so we're going to talk about all that stuff in this podcast. You know, starting out with, I mean, we always start the podcast with a little music talk, right?
Yeah.
So let's get into some music talk. First up is Suno, right? Suno. Kevin's the Suno expert.
I'm the Suno god. So
or in-house expert.
I think Suno gave me a notification like, congratulations, you're top 5 or top 10% users in Suno. No joke.
That's hilarious, dude.
I'm one
market
with the machines.
Research.
I know all about it. I can tell you all the nerdiness behind it. In fact, I do a lot of business with Suno. We're like this.
Yeah. That's my boy.
But no, so what Suno is basically a AI that generates music. You can generate lyrics, but it also does everything from the instrumental to the song to, you know, you can just make instrumentals and you can just do top lines on it. So it's everything in between. And, you know, I think it's amazing for sketching and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So,
right.
A lot of times with my clients, you know, I'm sitting, you know, we talk about what they want, musical direction and stuff like that. And I'll sketch like even, you know, 11, 12 songs for them to even just listen to get an understanding of, you know, directionality and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, I'm not going to lie, they're fire. So,
yeah. So are you not like, because, you know, old school way of doing that, producer, client, the way that, you know, we would always do it in the past, would be like make a Spotify playlist. use references, other artists. Like, what do you like about this song?
That's
what do you like about
still
that song?
part of the process. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's part of the process. So why Suno? Why are you using Suno then?
I think Suno more so like it gives it like it's like producing before you produce. So it's like, are we in the right direction? Are we like in musical sync for what is, about like we're about to make? So it saves a lot of time because
Gotcha.
imagine I went and I actually wrote a bunch of pieces and then they didn't like it. You know what I mean? How many times have we done that in our careers? You know what I mean?
So many times, especially with music for TV commercials. Mainly commercials, right? Because a lot of the times commercial producers, creative directors, bless their hearts, they don't have a whole lot of time. Everything's a rush, because
a lot of times they don't know what they want, right?
Yeah, but like I think that comes from not necessarily them not knowing what they want, because at the beginning when you're working on a commercial with a team, let's say it's like Wyden and Kennedy, right? The team has this commercial they're doing for T-Mobile, right? Let's say, I don't know if they have the T-Mobile account, but they're like, yeah, we got this commercial for T-Mobile. T-Mobile hires them to make a commercial and pitch stuff to them, right? So they're kind of like coming up with what they really want to do. And they're like, this is what we want to do. Here's what we think the music should do, etc. So they go off that, and then they'll go present to the client, which is T-Mobile, and T-Mobile's marketing department and the head of marketing, whatever. And they'll show this stuff, the whole commercial, the the music, everything cut, their idea, even if it is just kind of sketched out at first, animatics, etc. But that is kind of like where you hope that things are going to go through right there.
Yeah.
But when you're working with so many people that are making decisions, you got the producers that, maybe there's 3 to 5 on the project. And then you have the creative director or executive creative director, right? The ECD, who is overseeing kind of that project and those people, right? So he's the one or she's the one going like, what do you guys like, this is great, but what if you did this, and what if you tried this and that, right? So they kind of push them into a little further, etc. Or maybe even get them to pull their heads out of their ass, right? Then finally, once they can all agree, then it goes to get in front of the client. Then the client's going to have like, we either love this, we hate this, or we have notes or whatever, right? So then it goes back to composers, producers, etc. for music. But, just remembering that the music is really... for a lot of commercials, not that big of a deal for the project. Right?
Yeah. And so I think to kind of summarize what you're saying is they know it when they hear it.
Yeah,
that's a lot of what a lot of these projects come down to.
But think about this.
They can give you as many directions, but then they know it when they hear it. Because how many projects we worked on where we actually went counter to the brief, and then it was the one that got chosen.
Yeah, that's the one that got chosen because it was just dope song and it worked.
It was just dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but here's the thing, like they know it when they hear it is like they know it meaning who, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Like the final decision maker is always going to be the client. So you really want to hit what the client has in mind, and that's not going to happen. It's not even going to get presented to the client unless you please the producers, the executive creative directors, the agency. So it's a really hard, weird workaround way. I can see Suno, Udio, sketching, whatever being a lot more useful for the independent artist, right? Who they are the final say. So you're putting
I actually think it's super powerful in every avenue of music, and I think right now that's very taboo right now because I think the problem with AI is everyone is just under this idea that you just click a generate button and then all of a sudden you get a hit. When there's actually what are called prompt engineers, which is what I am basically doing, which go down the well of prompting. Not even just prompting, like from you have to have a trained A&R ear. Beyond just the actual technicals of prompting, but then also at the same time, like I'm actually especially with the stuff that I'm doing, I'm songwriting on top of that, which is I'm actually writing the lyrics. So
let me get your opinion on this because I was reading this article on AI generated music, right, and copywriting and the ability to copyright it.
They're uncopyrightable.
Yeah, but let me just read this to you. So basically, this is talking about when is AI enabled content copyrightable. Okay. So there's 3 things. Many different ways to use AI to create music and other works. The USCO report addresses 3 common ways AI is used today. So when we talk about USCO, we're talking about the United States Copyright Organization or something, right?
Copyright Office.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So one is using prompts to get a particular result from a generative AI model engine. 2 is inputting a human-created work and asking the AI to alter it in some way.
Yes.
3, modifying or arranging AI-generated content. Now, let's go over prompts because I think there's something in here that I think is really interesting and something you said, right? Like you need to prompt it, and it's not just, there's prompt engineers and all this, right? Eliciting AI-generated works using a prompt. Usually, text typed into the AI engine is the most clear-cut case here. You can't copyright a work created just by entering a prompt. Now, here's why. This is really interesting. The USCO report offers a number of reasons for this. One key one being that prompts are ideas, not expressive creations.
Yeah.
And ideas can't be copyrighted.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's interesting. If your only contribution to a creation is an unprotectable idea, you can't claim copyright.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go further into this because this is really interesting. This is the part that got me, okay? Also, the USCO says that prompts don't give the human user enough control over the outcome to claim authorship, okay? The output of current generative AI systems may include content that was not specified and exclude content that was.
Yeah.
Meaning, the report states, the fact that identical prompts can generate multiple different outputs further indicates a lack of human control, which means when you're generating prompts or you're prompting an AI, this copyright office and what people are saying here overall is that you don't have any control. There's a big lack of human control.
Yes.
So I would say that that's arguing against the idea that, prompting officers or engineers are actually a thing.
No, they are. They're making I think like bare minimum right now 100K. They're like this goes beyond obviously music and Suno and what we're talking about, but
right.
Prompt engineers, yeah, they're hired in companies. So in fact, they're probably going to start opening college degrees for it pretty soon. But I guess more so to your point, if we're going to relate it back to Suno,
if a prompt engineer I think what this is arguing, and just to really
lack of control.
To make this really clear. If I say, make me a song like this with the exact same prompt, and another person does the same exact thing, they're going to get a different thing because it's AI generative. And we have different models and we have different things generating these AI ideas. So really, how much does the prompt matter?
Oh, the prompt, I mean, as far as what you're going to get out of the AI, the prompt is everything. But I think more so what I'm saying is the part and the reason why, and I always challenge people because like if I play some of the stuff that I generate with Suno, there's like a clear difference in quality compared to the average bear. But like I said, part of that comes back into the human aspect of it. Because like
don't you think that a big part of it is how much you use it? You said you were in the top 5%.
Yes, but I can get down to the technicals of Suno.
And artificial intelligence and machine learning is at play here.
Yes, no, yes and no. So there are certain things, but more so the reason why I think what I get out of Suno is better than anybody is because I actually spend the time to properly songwrite. And when I say that, like when I'm songwriting this is because I'm fixing the lyrics basically. I'm not actually even generating lyrics with Suno, just to be 100%. In fact, I'll probably go to any number of text-based AIs before I go to Suno to write the lyrics, which means I'm going to like a common one that people use is like ChatGPT, but I'm also going to like Grok, which is X's. I do that for explicit content, basically anything that I need to, use explicit.
Yeah, leave it to X.
So because X doesn't have a ban on that
explicit shit.
So if I tell it to make some sexy red music, which is saying the most freaky shit, what I mean, imaginable. ChatGPT is not going to do it. Gemini, which is Google's AI, is not going to do it.
Right.
And another one that I use a lot is Claude. Claude is one of the smartest of the text-based AIs. So it's really good at poetic ideas and stuff like that.
We're gonna get into deep seek later in this podcast. Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about all that. But more so, what I'm saying is, like I said, back to what I'm doing is I'm actually songwriting too. So what I do is like most of the times what is called the tag of the song, which is the tagline of the chorus, which is the the structural foundation of what a song is, because that song is that one tagline is what summarizes the entire song. If you know anything about songwriting,
Yeah, it's like the hook.
yeah. No, that's the hook within the hook. So is the
tag.
tagline. Yeah, the tag.
Yeah.
So the tagline is first and foremost what I write manually. No computer's gonna out tagline a human writer, because we just kind of know exactly, like a good songwriter.
And you also have like the problem with AI generative stuff is that it's dated.
Yeah.
So it can only know like stuff from like that it knows. So if you're not feeding it relevant, up to date information, slang, etc., like what's hot right now, exactly right now,
what I was
because
saying.
things move so fast.
So like I said, there are so many human elements, especially when it comes to songwriting. I've noticed this, like particularly things like ChatGPT. It messes up the number of syllables between sentences. So that's why when you hear the hooks that come out of the songs that I generate on Suno, mine are very clean, because I've counted all the syllables and I've made sure the lines are correct. But that's what I'm saying. These are all the human elements. Not only that, I'm rewriting, rewording, putting slang, all sorts of things like that. So what you're actually getting is a mixture of generative and then also the human element. And the human element is why the quality that I get out of Suno beats everybody else, because I'm A&Ring. Like part of that is taste level too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
of
what
course.
I'm saying. So
of course. So what would you say to people that are going to be watching this podcast, listening to it, and being like, "Yeah, but it only works for pop"?
No. So like the thing actually I would say is that Suno is amazing for score.
For score?
For score, it's amazing. In fact, it's amazing for so many different types of music. Like if you're it can make old style music amazingly, and which is why it's so good, because it can mock up like 20th century ragtime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was probably like the first thing they trained
1920s ragtime. It's amazing at, and that's what I'm saying. So like people who only think it's good for pop are only trying to generate modern genres. You know what I mean? And stick to modern prompting.
So exactly. Yeah. So like if you're trying to make modern indie rock, what do you think? You're going to use Suno? Have you ever tried it?
Yeah, I've used Suno for
indie rock.
What about it?
Have you used Suno for indie rock?
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
So I think you have to be very specific with Suno. And a good example, I want to kind of relate it to rap. I'll circle around back to the indie rock thing. Like I was asked to make some female rap that is similar to Glorilla, and I think most people, when they approach Suno, they would just be like, "Oh, well, Glorilla, which is a really hot artist, female rapper right now.
Yeah,
it's probably the top female rapper right now." But a lot of people would be like, "Oh, well, I'll just type modern female rap into Suno, and it'll just make what I think." You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gonna reach back to like 2020 or something, right?
Yeah, but that's such a broad. Modern female rap is a broad stroke of what rap music is. But if you understand like what style of music Glorilla does, she's from Tennessee, so if you understand like that, like a lot of her roots of her sound is from 3 6 Mafia, which is also from Memphis, Tennessee.
Right.
It's just she's doing I'd say around 2007, 2006 is when the peak, fly, like all that music, you know what I mean? From 3 6 Mafia. So what I'll prompt, and what I did prompt if I needed something from Glorilla, is I told Suno to write female rap, but in the style of 2000s Memphis rap music. So that's
okay. So like gonna catch me riding dirty.
Well, that's Chameleonaire, and that's from Houston. So but that's what I'm saying. If you wanted to, you have
to get specific.
You have to know these things too. That's what I'm saying. So that's
part
of the prompting.
You're saying like a music historian is going to do a much better
job, just because they have a big understanding of where things come from.
But wouldn't you argue like any music producer or composer making good music today understands musical history?
Yeah.
Right?
But it just depends for their genre,
If you know that the Beatles used these specific microphones, these amps, these production techniques, etc., to get these sounds and tones, then you know how to get there, and then you know how to make it more modern with modern plugins and processing. Then you're gonna make your own shit, right? So same thing. The only difference is that the AI is doing the work for you, right? It's like it's spitting it
for
out.
the actual for many parts of the composition. Yeah,
I mean, shit. Like you're not playing the guitar on it. You're not
yeah,
playing the keys.
So
you're not
that
programming
comes
the
to
synths.
stage 2. So especially with client work, just so you know, and because I'm pretty studied up on this too, that everything gets replaced. So nothing that was a part of that original AI will end up on the finished record, at least for me, because I mean,
you couldn't copyright it.
That's the number one reason, but B, also people have been doing that. People, and that's where the BBL Drizzy track came from, is because someone actually made BBL Drizzy and then Metro Boomin sampled it. So it was already on. It's still on Spotify. It's on all the DSPs and stuff. But more so, what I'm saying is there's been huge, cases in trouble with people trying to upload songs that they've created from Suno onto things like YouTube, and because Content ID is flagging those songs, and that's because Suno is pulling from actual like drum loops, and actually that's like one of the major ones. Yeah. So, but it's actually not as fucked as you think, because if you understand how this works, a lot of people are already having that problem because of things like Splice. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no,
so
I get that.
There are already reused drum loops across music time.
A producer made like melody loops with Splice, and then you went and put it on your track. Like, yeah, it's gonna get flagged. Like we can't, like a lot of the times, and this is a good note for anyone getting into sync licensing or wanting to get placements with artists on labels, actually generating monetization and publishing money. You got to be really careful with any sort of melody, drum loops, maybe if there's like melody in the drum loops, but drum loops are pretty hard to copyright.
You can't really copyright them.
Yeah.
In fact, that was something that happened with hip hop in the 90s, is that they were using all break beats from like the 70s.
Yeah, it's like drum loops, chord progressions, you can't copyright. But if there's like a melody loop,
specific melodies,
bro, like if it's like boop, and you think like, oh, that's a great Splice thing, and you just use it in your record, and there's 10,000 other songs uploaded with that same melody and loop in there. Yeah, you can't pitch that for sync because they'll get flagged,
Yeah,
and if they get flagged, they get really scared because they're like, like imagine this: you're trying to save money, right? Because you're the music supervisor on the TV show, and you're trying to save some dough, so you like can't license the Bruno Mars song for $500,000. So you're like,
but you can get a guy to redo it.
But I can get this guy to do it for no. You just find a replacement that's kind of in that vein for $5,000. And then you go and do it, and you get flagged. Like, bro, they're not trying to go through any of that litigation or anything. So,
yeah, that's a liability.
That's a huge liability and a huge headache. And for any major label, music, TV, film, commercials, artists, big artists on labels, majors, and I'd say, like, dude, this is an interesting thing that I just read today in preparation for this podcast. I read that Deezer is actually the first DSP to now have proprietary software that they're going to be putting into play to mark and find AI generated music in any sense.
Absolutely.
And then they're going to tag it and they're going to flag it. So even if the artist doesn't want anybody to know that they made it with AI generated software, Suno, Udio, etc., it is going to be tagged as like AI generated, made with AI. So you're going to be known as a producer or an artist that makes music with AI.
Just depends on how much. And so here's the thing too, because
and I got another one for you because this.
All right, you get them out.
Yeah, this is going to throw, because I know you've thought about this, obviously, hopefully, but
absolutely.
But everything keeps progressing, right?
Yeah.
So UMG, Warner, Sony have all of them have lawsuits up against Suno and Udio.
Yep.
Okay, so
those have been ongoing lawsuits from the.
Yes, exactly. But there's no closure to any of these.
There's no legal grounds on a lot of them, and because the league.
No. Hold on. There's no decision made.
Yeah.
So just to make this really clear, if the decision is made that they are making generative, they're taking copyrighted material and training their models on copyrighted material, and that somehow comes back around to any sort of illegal action or whatever. And you're using melodies generated from Suno or Udio, and you put it into your music, and your artists and the people you're working with end up getting flagged for that after all this litigation and things come to a close, then they can do cease and desist. They could say, you're too close to the melody, you're too close to this. I mean, they did it with Pharrell songs, you know, that were like too close to Marvin Gaye grooves. Remember that.
Yeah.
And anything that's making money is just up for grabs, bro. Like, I've seen it in music for TV, film, commercials way too many times. Now, we have musicologists. So the way that it works is when you make something for a commercial, a TV show, whatever, and they're like, yeah, we don't know. We have no idea where this came from because it's just a composer, producer, and it's pretty good on the budget. They run it by a musicologist. So the musicologist will go and find anything that's too similar and have you change it.
We dealt with that. Yep.
Yeah, we dealt with
Many
it
times.
for a Dodge commercial. But that's a real thing. So if this stuff goes up in court and it's sustained with anything, yeah, UMG could ask you to just take it down, you know?
Yeah, so let's talk about kind of the practicals on that. Because like, yes, this actually reminds me a lot of when Napster first came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of, not
as
really.
far as the labels freaking out and trying to sue. So here's the once you can't once you open the box, you can't put it all back in, and so that's what's happened with AI right now. And this goes beyond music, but let's just focus it on the music. So what I mean by that is, you can't, like, yes, there are, there's things that can find ChatGPT when kids submit their homework, but once you open that, Pandora's box, there is no now turning in homework that is not going to have ChatGPT in it. You know what I mean? For kids, you know what I mean? Unless you shut it down. So on a practical level, there is no way now to not have AI in the music. And I'm just saying that as a large, if we look at the next 100 years, AI is going to be a part of that musical process.
And I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is when it goes to copyright, monetization, publishing, ownership, master, etc.
Yeah.
That's when it's a problem.
So back to that. So you're talking about Deezer with an algorithm. They have tried to always...
Deezer's the first to do this, by the way.
I know. But what I'm saying is they have always tried to create algorithms that can detect
It's
AI.
not algorithm, it's an AI.
Sure, an AI that can detect AI.
That's how it's working.
But what I'm saying is the problem with that, and it's all those algorithms that they've been using in schools to try to catch these kids using AI. The AI that is generating is moving faster than the actual AI that is being created to find the generations. You know what I mean? So we're talking. We could get into that next topic, which is DeepSeek. But like what I'm saying is the generation side is moving faster than the counter generation side, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so let's get into DeepSeek and some tech talk.
Yeah.
Great segue, Kev. No, but for real. So I have a headline here and I really want to read it because I think it's really interesting. So this is from Music Business Worldwide. OpenAI, valued at $157 billion and facing multiple copyright infringement lawsuits, says China's DeepSeek may have used its data to train rival AI model without permission. Irony.
We gotta explain to the people.
I love this shit though, bro. Like this is my favorite part, right? You have these guys like what's his name? Sam Altman?
Yeah. Oh.
So you got what is it?
Altman.
Okay. So Sam Altman, right? This guy's like, yeah, I'm such a genius. I made, this ChatGPT. I made OpenAI. I'm just such a genius, right? And I trained all my models on stuff that you can pretty much find all over the internet from artists and people that have worked their whole lives to make this stuff, right? To get to that skill level where they can manipulate zeros and ones.
He downloaded the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. To get to the point where you can just feed your AI everybody's works from the last 100 years. Probably not that long because the internet hasn't been around that long. But now he's like, this is bullshit, man.
You stole our shit.
This is bullshit. Someone came in and they started
stealing our code. You took our shit and you took everybody's shit. Yeah.
Fuck you. Like straight up. Like here's the thing. What I think before we get into all the nitty gritty of all this.
I think we got to explain what DeepSeek is, because I think there's a lot of people that still are like questioning what is this whole thing. I keep seeing headlines.
Okay, so let's just like
before we get into the details of
so
the issues are.
DeepSeek is pretty much an AI model chatbot, right? Just like ChatGPT is, that you feed text prompts and it gives you text back, right? And it is
kicking ass.
It's actually like outperforming Chat GPT, their O1 model, right? Which is like their high-end model, $200 a month or something, right?
Well, they spent 155 million or something is what they claim to build.
Crazy amounts to like make this model, train this model, keep it going, right? Whatever. DeepSeek comes in, is built off of like just a few $1 million.
Yeah,
I think
$6 million, I think is what the
somewhere
quote was.
around there, but I don't have the exact data, so don't quote me. But so they go and they do it for like a fraction of the price, and the model's better, and it's free.
Outperforms.
So that's the big one, right? It's open source free. And so you got this ChatGPT that was open source, remember? Yeah. And now they're charging like, $20, $50, $200 a month.
Are you paying for it?
Depending on the model, right?
Are you paying for ChatGPT, or are you still using the freebie?
I think I am, because I wanted to mess around with the 4.0 model.
Oh, okay.
Right. But the O1 model is like the flagship, I believe. That's the one where like you have to pay a lot per month because it runs off of a lot of servers and shit. And you can actually like do these a bunch of different ways if you're like a programmer, hacker kid,
Yeah, you basically can build your own large language models off of their O1 platform. So
yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
It's for the developers.
And if you have access to that, then you're getting more. You're getting more. Basically, that's the best way to put it. You're getting more intelligence in the artificial intelligence, right? Like you're getting more of that.
Well, apparently not, because back to DeepSeek, a guy was running DeepSeek on a couple of Mac Studios tethered together.
I think it was like Mac Minis, bro.
Oh, were they Minis? I thought they were Mac Studios. I think it was Studios. But he had a couple of them tethered together, and he was like, "Yeah, here's your $1 million server farm that they claim you need." So
let me read a little bit more of this article, because I think it's really interesting, and people might get a kick out of it. So the sudden arrival of China's DeepSeek AI chatbot bot has thrown the U.S.'s AI industry into what Forbes calls a panic, for good reason, right? So first of all, you have like this, you have this company building this idea up to all its shareholders and all the people investing in it, right? Like, we have proprietary software. We're the fucking best AI. We're training everything, we're going to make so much money. We stole everything from everyone, and now we're training our models on it. That's pretty much how I take it. And now we're going to make a bunch of money off of everybody's works, right? And now he's panicking and everybody else is panicking. This is the big one, though. AI-related companies' stocks fell sharply on Monday, with chip maker NVIDIA leading the way to a 17% stock price drop,
leading the way down the hill,
wiping out nearly $600 billion of the company's market cap. And that's not a really crazy deal, because we're talking about a company that's in the trillions of market cap. Okay. So really, really big company, NVIDIA. It does say in parentheses, by the way, a rebound on Tuesday clawed back some of those losses. The reason for the panic: DeepSeek appears to have created a chatbot with similar capabilities to those of US-made chatbots, but using a fraction...
Not similar, better capabilities.
Yeah. But using a fraction of the resources and capital needed to develop the US models. The company says it spent just $5.6 million developing the chatbot, compared to the more than $100 million that OpenAI spent developing ChatGPT 4.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of crazy, right? Because this article goes into the fact that OpenAI is now going, well, DeepSeek stole our shit.
You're OpenAI. You're open.
You're OpenAI, right? Yeah. So they stole your shit. They put it out.
I guess they should just rename it to Closed AI, because I think that's what they're thinking about right now.
They should rename it to Profit First AI.
But no. Okay. So there's another big thing that we haven't discussed in this whole thing, which is the Trump administration just announced Stargate, which was a multi-company effort and it's an effort by the U.S. government, and I think what was the number, $200 or $500 billion that they were gonna put into AI and building new power plants. They're gonna build new tech farms, new server farms, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's a big issue.
That's a big initiative by the Trump administration.
Yeah, just so everyone's clear here, the race for AI and being first into the technologies of AI is the big important part for US versus China. Think of it as like the space race, right, of the 80s. It's this point where it's like, okay, if China gets there first, you know what I mean, then they'll have control. And we want to have control. The US wants to have control.
Yeah.
So this is like a really big deal for capitalism as a whole, because if China's going to go and open up DeepSeek for free and it's going to be better than our paid models, then the US goes like, wait, what the fuck? Like, we all know what's happening with TikTok, right? So the ban on TikTok and the US and the Chinese propaganda and all this stuff, right? But is it really propaganda, or is it a race for capitalism? Is it a race for the US to have control over AI? This is a big problem, right? Because the way I see it, and I think a lot of people see it, it's a threat to have one person or one country or one government to be in control of the technology of what AI is, right? That is like ultimate power. So if you're someone that has like a lockdown on all the technology that can do everything, like track people 100%, like if you could do all these things, but nobody else can touch it, nobody else has access to it, it's not open source, it's privately owned, and it's capitalism, right? It's like, that's what I think is the biggest threat. If it's open source, if anyone can have access to this technology by just having a computer, a normal computer, or like you said, tethering together two Mac studios, and they can get the same power as anybody else, that's fair, I feel like. And I feel like that's a world where everybody can share ideas, and we can take the technology and we can build and we can do great things with it.
Yeah, I guess to even get fresher on the news. So within the last week, two separate other companies in China have released AI models that are already beating DeepSeek.
Yeah, I saw that.
If DeepSeek's the leading model, then there's
already it's all different models. So they're text-based models.
Well, DeepSeek just dropped an image model, which is comparable to Midjourney, but it's still Midjourney's still beating it. But I guess more so what I'm saying is I think we're at a point. And in fact, I think with AI, and as many people said, we're actually hitting what's called critical mass for AI, which means that we've got, so in any like new space, the basically from 0 to 70% is the easiest part, and then for things to start basically getting better and better, those incremental increases are some of the hardest. So to go from 70 to 72 and then go from 72 to 74.
Yeah. The compounding of time, energy, resources.
It's the same we've kind of reached with, the M1 chips. Like I'm still rocking the M1 at the studio, but I'm going to keep it real. The M4 is a nominal increase from the M3 and the M2. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what's happening with AI right now. So we're getting nominal increases. So
it's like Moore's law.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So like the compounding effect of technology and stuff is kind of an interesting one, because we have to go into quantum, things have to go into a different scale. You can't do this on a binary code, right? Like if you go zeros and ones, ons and offs, and you try to scale that at a compounding rate, Moore's law, right? Yeah. It's not going to work, because you're going to hit critical mass. A lot of companies, they take more money, they take more resources, more power and energy. That's why the Stargate thing is so important. People don't understand to run these kind of AI models where you're getting into like serious computing power and training, and it has to be so much energy, right? That's the problem. That is your bottleneck. You cannot run servers and CPUs and GPUs, NVIDIA farms and stuff without a shit ton of power. And people are like, why do we need more power? This is bullshit. And it's
we have freaking brownouts all the time in LA. Like,
dude, facts. But like the big thing is, like, if you're trying to do the next thing in human evolution, you need that. You need the crazy amounts of power. Like, how are you going to go to Mars and all this stuff if you don't have
Yeah.
crazy amounts of power to be able to calculate and use AI to help you with all the computational stuff? And, you know, we're talking about medicine as well, right? Like,
Well, that's what the Stargate program was being pitched as, is like
cancer and
yeah, basically,
calculating.
you know, what's his name, the CEO of Oracle?
Oh, I forget his name.
Not Jeff Bezos. Why am I? Anyways, the Oracle of Oracle was pitching that, like, the main thing he's after is personalized medical tracking and medical records for everybody, and that having an AI assisting doctors with you know, finding problems with humans, which
They already use that.
They already have that in extent,
Yeah.
and in fact, that's what IBM's Watson was mainly used for.
Yeah,
which
I know,
is their
I know
AI.
that. I know
So,
that for a fact. In medicine and in the hospital, they use AI.
Yeah,
But the thing is, the AI is, and you know, I think you can ask anybody in the medical field. Like, the AI is not human, right? So it just gives you
no, but it can
probability.
read data. It can read data better
Right.
than humans.
So if you do have the power to generate and build these models where they can give you even better probabilities and better testing and better measurements, yeah, it's really powerful, man. Like, it can go in and calculate data points so fast and you know, look at all the probabilities for cancer cells, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I see the positive side of this being, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessarily the capitalist point of view from my perspective. I don't mind capitalism, but I want it to be ethical.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it to be, you know, fuck everything, just make $1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if it's ethical capitalism, great. But the open source thing, I think, is just more interesting to me because it gives the ability to all these creative minds, just like music with Suno, right? Mm-hmm. And Udio, it's like you're giving people's creative minds the ability to create when they couldn't. They don't have to go and train on piano and guitar and music theory for the next 10 years. They can just start creating ideas, right? And I feel like that's the same thing with giving the power of AI generative models, DeepSeek, you know, graphics models, whatever, putting it in everybody's hands and making it affordable, right?
Yeah,
like, you have
like,
a decent computer, you can use this thing
with
for free.
AI, and not to hype it up because everyone's already on the hype train. It's just like, you know, it's the humans discovering fire again for the first time. So that's the best way I look at it. It's like everything is based on fire. Our cars are basically, you know, engines that are, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
fire
you
worms
you could burn down a house with it. You can make a hydrogen bomb.
exactly.
You know,
You can do terrible things. You can do amazing things with fire.
Yeah,
Fire
facts.
has burned down half of LA. So, you know what I mean? But I think more so, just to wrap this topic up, I think this is not really a crazy topic. I think what the main thing and the main reason why these are in so many headlines is because it's China. If France had put out this model, we would not be talking about it like this. There would be no media frenzy about it. But I think it's just more so a U.S. versus China thing, and that's communism versus capitalism, Cold War shit since the 80s.
Isn't it funny how history just repeats itself?
Yeah,
like over and over again. It's like Russia and China versus the U.S. and you know and
NATO and you know,
freedom.
So that's the really the hype about this story. It's
not... the only difference is now is that people don't live under this veil of not being able to get information wherever.
Yeah.
Right. Like it used to be where like the information was from the news. Mm-hmm. Now, like, how many people do you personally know that trust the news?
Oh, I don't think anybody.
I don't know anybody that goes like, yeah, dude, I watched it on the news and I trust the news.
Yeah.
Nobody does. Mm-hmm. Nobody trusts Fox, NBC, CNN.
Shit, I don't even trust you. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't trust you, motherfucker. Facts. But like, seriously though, like our information comes from like really understanding, you know, social platforms, right? Like, it's like being at the water cooler on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever you're on, and whoever you're talking to in your circle, and podcasts, and doctors that are openly talking about stuff on podcasts or on the internet, YouTube, etc. Scientists that are talking on those platforms.
Yeah.
You kind of just like find trust in specific people, and you start to like listen and pay attention to them. And then for me personally, I'll go and like listen to someone else's podcast that has opposing views. And I'll just kind of like make up my mind about it. Like, oh, do I trust that or do I trust that? You know?
Yeah.
Like, and then also there's peer reviewed studies and articles.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's like such a big thing for people anymore, which is kind of a bummer.
Well, peer review is actually kind of...
It's just shifted, right?
Yeah.
It's changed a lot.
Because there's a lot of fake studies being put out that are quote unquote peer reviewed too. So there's,
yeah, which is scary.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the scary part.
That's the hard
of
part.
AI.
There is what is the name? There's a new... I don't know. It's not new. I'm lying. There's a form of study that basically counters or puts multiple studies together, and then that's the... Okay, never mind.
It's called AI.
Yeah. No, if I had there's a name for it now, but anyways, I think more so what I think we should more so get to is, speaking of scientists that we trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: I could talk about AI forever, and especially with all that, and it's too deep of a well. I think it's almost too much to talk about.
It's almost like the human brain can't like grasp.
I don't think people understand what it is, or it's the intangible boogeyman of, you know what I mean? We're scared of it, but like fire, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it can do a lot of crazy shit, so.
Yeah, it's just like a language learning, machine learning model, like it learns from what you feed it.
Yeah.
So it's like, the way I think about it is like those 90s movies where they like put the alien in front of the movie screen or the video screen, the VHS or whatever.
Yeah.
And they start playing all the news and everything and fast forward, and the alien's like, and it's like learning, like ET kind of shit. That's what like AI is to me. It's like, here's all this content and all this information we have.
If you think about what AI is to everyone else, it's like their understanding of it is like the iRobot movie. It's the Terminator movie, Skynet. So, like I said, it's very much like a weird, interesting boogeyman thing to a lot of people, especially. But
I think that it's because there's a lot of like humans respond. We all respond to like negative shit, right? So, like, oh, there's a car accident. What happened, bro? Like some shit went down in my neighborhood. Someone got fucking stabbed, and you're like, oh, what? So like the headlines and shit are like super enticing to the human brain. Yeah. Because we have that caveman brain that hasn't evolved much. So like the caveman brain thinking about AI, generative models, and like thinking that that's iRobot and it knows everything and it's going to fucking, take over the
Optimus.
Take over the nukes, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is scary.
Actually, you know what? Because I'm sure, as more AI technology gets, combined into government, that's like absolutely something that's
scary.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in our military and stuff.
Oh, dude, when they start thinking about the bottom line too much, you know what I mean? Oh, well, we need to be able to kill China and Russia faster and like figure out how we can, get these spacecrafts and these warheads to work better and more precise without losing our soldiers. You know what I mean? Like when they start thinking like that and they start using AI to generate models, it's not going to think about compassion.
AI is already in all of our, at least, defense weapons and in our military.
Yeah, so like there's no compassion there. There's no like human, like, man, actually, I got kids, I got puppies, I got a family, I got stuff going on, and like I care about those people, and I'm sensitive and stuff. Like it's like, we don't care about that. It's just like figuring out a math problem for what sensitivity is.
Good example is the Trump administration is, talked about installing an Iron Dome in the U.S. and, all that is shooting a missile at whatever's coming in. You know what I mean? It's
doesn't Israel have that?
So based on the Iron Dome in Israel. You know what I mean?
It's fucking crazy.
So that, anyways, but not to get super political, I think we should actually get back to talking about some audio shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, like all this AI stuff has a lot to do with music.
Yeah.
And I think all arts and creative outputs, people are relying heavily on all this AI stuff, because I think the problem is that like people start feeling, I don't know, I feel this way. Like I've heard it You know, like I've heard that. I've seen that. I've been there. I've done that sort of thing. It's like we've already heard that song in those music. That's, you know, like so many artists that you start to work with, you're like, you're just making like the same shit that's already been made. Like that's a fucking 90s song. Like I could tell you where that melody came from. And you think you made that, you know, like
music's regressive right now. I don't know if you knew that, right?
It's really
80%
weird.
of music that's being streamed was created in the 2000s.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because like all the new artists are just like maybe even worse than AI regenerative, right? Like they're just regenerating stuff that's already been done that nobody asked for. Like, I'm not looking for another, 90s pop song. You know what I'm saying? Like, or 90s R&B or whatever it is, 2005 rap. Like I've heard that and I've heard it done so much better.
Well, we're old heads. That's the problem
but you're talking like
compared to the young kids, we're old. Me being 34 is like, I'm a zombie compared to these kids.
That's true. And if I was like, dude, if I was like 13, 14 years old right now, I might want to hear some like 90s or 2005 hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Like that's better than what the fuck came out in 2025 or 2024, I'm like, bring it on, you know what I'm saying? Like, give me some good shit.
I mean, that's how we're thinking is like, do I really want to check out that new album? Nah.
Yeah.
I already got some good albums I'd rather listen to.
Facts.
So.
But let's get into some gear talk because we're here in the music shit. And,
so let's talk about some scientists that we trust because we were talking about that earlier.
There's a few.
So there's a certain scientist that we trust with our mixing, and his name's Jaycen Joshua.
Yeah.
So
we're
man,
talking about I give Jaycen like so much praise because I think he's been a mentor to a lot of music producers, artists, engineers coming up, like straight up. People just like doing it themselves because like it, long gone are the days where you're like, very few people can really do this, but long gone are the days of like, I am an artist and I only write songs, Like, no, it's like the artist has a setup at home with their MacBook Pro and their PreSonus, their Focusrite, whatever. And they're cutting their own vocals and they're making their own tracks or they're downloading tracks and they're like producing a little bit, recording. They're trying to learn mixing, And I'm always for this idea of like teaching people how to do it on your own, like if you want to. You don't have to. And I recommend some people don't at all like do it on their own. If you got budgets and stuff and you are trying to do professional stuff and you want to get there faster, you don't do it on your own, right? But if you're like, man, I'm a hobbyist, I'm just having fun with it and like I want my shit to sound better and I want to learn some new game and like produce a little bit better, etc. And I just have fun with it and I spend a couple hours a day on this shit. Dude, learn as much as you can, you know what I mean? Like get better at mixing. And I think that's kind of what Jaycen's done with Cradle Audio and his plugins he's putting out with them. The God Particle was a big one for me. It
still use it. Love
that.
I
definitely like had like my hesitant moment. Like,
are you using it every mix or are you not? Just keep it real.
Yeah, it's the last thing on my mix.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's the last thing on my master bus.
Really, last thing? It's my first. So.
Yes, my last because I love the adaptive limiter. I think that it's like...
Oh, you like that limiter? I use other limiters.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? So many people are like, yeah, dude.
The limiter's not my favorite on that, to be honest.
Yeah, they're like, I'll use this or I'll use the harmonics on it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, dude, the limiter is my favorite because the adaptive, it does really well with the low end. It's adaptive for the low end. Like that's what it really pays attention to. And also, I just like the fact that like, when I use that limiter, I don't go too loud. I think a lot of people like overdo their limiting on their records where they're making it too loud and it's not necessary.
Oh, I have to compete, so I have to make loud. So loud better.
Yeah, but you don't get loud just from limiting, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like a lot of people when they're mixing, and I used to do that, dude. I used to go crazy, like Sony Oxford inflator with this, and then I
still using
distortion, you know, like tons of limiting, tons of compression on the master bus. I don't do that anymore, because like
your delivery is a little bit different because I think here's the problem with the delivery to my artists and the people that I work with is their expectation is if I play that against this record from Kanye, it's gotta if Kanye's is louder, then it's a better record in their head. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's still that same old argument of the loudness worse. But
sure, but let's go through all of the Grammy nominees right now, like straight up.
Oh, and I hope this changes.
You're talking,
I'm not fighting for the loudness.
No, let's just go through them, right? Like everybody that's up for a Grammy right now is -9.1 on the lefts.
Yeah.
-7 on the lefts. It's not going into -3. It's not going into that. They're not going that loud.
Depends on what genre you're working in.
All genres, bro. I'm talking about Post Malone. I'm talking about Sabrina Carpenter. Espresso is like -7.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the biggest hits and the Grammy nominated shit right now. They are not going that loud. So everybody has this notion that you have to be loud. It's not true. It just needs to fucking sound good. And a lot of the times, like, the record doesn't need to be loud because you're going to go to radio. If you go to radio, for example, and we were talking about this on the last podcast, radio is where you get paid.
Yeah.
The radio is putting like a 50-1 limiter on your fucking music. So if you
Smash Olympics.
If you go and you exactly. So if you go and you smash your shit and you're like, I got to compete for my client, right? Fine, dude. Like, make your client happy. Make them piss their pants because, dude, it's so loud. It's just as loud as this other bullshit, right? Fucking fine, dude. To get the job done, get it done. But at the end of the day, those people aren't winning Grammys. Those people are not, getting played on the radio all the time, right?
You goddamn right.
Yeah, you're just getting the mix done. You're getting the shit shipped, right? But at the end of the day, like, these going to the radio 50-1, you're like limiting the fuck out of it. So imagine you're like, dude, I got to get it to -3, -5, all this crazy shit where it's just brick walled all the way.
Yeah.
And then it goes to radio and it just sounds like it's just so loud.
But you know what? Actually, so I'll speak.
No
on
dynamics.
This. If I'm on an A-level record and I'm submitting to an A-level record, I am not doing the mix. I'm doing what's called the producer mix, which is still getting it really far, and then someone like Jaycen Joshua is doing the final mix,
and he's getting perceived loudness with his plugins,
and he's not doing a client smash mix.
No, he's not.
What I mean? So,
and at the end of the day, I can't speak for him. Because I'm sure, like, all these guys, no matter what.
But he's already pre-limiting before he even gets to his final.
Every mixer is doing this shit.
So that's, I think, where we got to talk about his new plugin Orion, because that's exactly what it is. He is limiting before he even gets to his.
Yeah, it's like pre-mix master on the drums.
Yeah,
like that was a big thing in his workflow that I picked up when he was showing his drum mix and master bus on Mix with the Masters years ago. Right?
Yeah,
I was like, this is sick. And then of course, like,
you were using it, right? I was using his
NLS bus,
his drum bus. Yeah, I even still use his bass bus. I need him to come out with that bass plugin already.
Yeah,
that bass bus plugin, because I'm still, and he still uses his bass bus. Yep. And he's like, yeah, but guys, don't worry, I'm working on it. So
yeah, I mean, the Orion plugin's really interesting because for a lot of people, it's too much. It's like bringing a gun to a knife fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think it's because they don't understand how to use it.
I have to pull up all the controls. That's what I'm doing right now. It's just so I can, because I think what would be beneficial for us on this podcast is if we give how we use it, because
yeah, for sure.
I think we all, if you just watch how Jaycen uses it, what he's doing on his bus is very heavy-handed, and I think
but it has everything to do with gain staging. So
absolutely.
Without understanding gain staging, people are gonna go fuck up their shit.
Yeah,
straight up. They're gonna clip it. They're gonna distort it. They're gonna go too much. Right? And a lot of people can't hear the low end in the rooms they're in.
Absolutely.
So I'd be adjusting this shit on headphones if you aren't in a tuned room,
But it also is dependent on the material. You have to understand what he mixes versus what me and you are mixing.
Facts.
Because in many stages,
reggaeton, like Spanish pop kind of stuff,
he is going low and heavy stuff. So I think
that's like the trap and like heavy rap stuff.
No, he's known for being the low end guy.
I know, but not in pop records and stuff.
No, but what I'm saying though is,
he wouldn't mix those. Probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. People go to him because they need
big low end,
and wide.
Dude, the first time I heard him,
he's known for that. So all the mixes that come in for him, I don't want to say all of them, but most of the mixes that come in for him are that because he's known for it. You know what I mean?
The first mix back when we were like hanging with Gerald G-Eazy and stuff, and we were like going to all his shows and stuff.
Brother Gillum.
Yeah, but what the first mix that I heard from him that I was like, how did he get that like huge low end, but it's still loud, It's like super loud, but like the low end is really big. And that's really hard to do when you get a big low end and it sounds loud. You know what I mean? Because you got to like, the low end is like the first thing to clip out your master.
Yeah.
Because of all the power and voltage behind it.
I still have a lot of problem dealing with my low end, but then again, I don't have the crazy studio You know, even I with the studio that I have, like I can't hear as low. Like I don't even have the speakers Brad has. Brad has amazing speakers. So.
Yeah, but dude, that's the name of the game though. Like when I heard this mix from him, it was a G-Eazy record that I heard. I was like, dude, how does that happen? Who mixed this?
Yeah.
And I found out it was Jaycen Joshua. That's when I started going like, what the fuck is he doing differently? You know, I started kind of like researching into him, and then he started putting out game. He started putting out stuff on Mix with the Masters and everything. And I was like, oh, I can watch his process, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think he comes from the same tree of engineers. I mean, he comes from Pensado, and Pensado is the king of giving out game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's from that lineage. So I think everyone appreciates that Jaycen basically, you know,
started mentoring. He was mentoring everybody.
That's what I'm saying. He was giving out his template. You know what I mean? On
he
Mix
still
with the
does.
Masters,
He still
you know
does.
What I mean? You can and the truth is, as all of us as engineers, it really comes down to the know-how. You know what I mean? You can have the same template with the same plugins, and you can still get a terrible mix out of it.
So true. So let's talk about the settings, though. Okay, so for me, first off, the input on the Orion.
Yeah.
We'll put a little UI interface on this part of the podcast. The input, I always try to go within the indicators, right?
Yeah.
Like
so
that's super important.
Making
that's
that thing
your
light
first,
up. Yeah.
Your first gain stage is like, he's putting the boxes around it. That's for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do?
Let's talk about the drive section, right?
No, go into the color, the first drive section.
Yeah, the drive section. So
what do you
I
do?
use C. C is
that's funny. I turn it off most of the time.
Oh, okay. I use C, and then I
most of the time
I
turn the drive section off most of the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the magic right there. That is the NLS section of the
80% of the time I turn that off.
Oh, A is really heavy-handed. It's like destroying transients and shit like that. So I always stick to C.
Okay.
And then you want to go in the harmonic section. So this is the black box the black box.
I think
no, that's the lift. Okay,
no.
The harmonic section.
R bass.
The R bass is next.
It's got to be R bass.
Yeah. Okay, that's the R bass.
Yeah.
So what are you doing on the R bass?
So on the R bass, I typically go to 50 hertz, and I take the harmonics up.
What percentage?
Maybe like up the middle. So like at
I'm at 50% on the harmonics.
Yeah, like 12 o'clock with it.
Yeah, that's 50%.
Yeah,
so
somewhere
straight
around
up
there.
is 50.
But the harmonics are amazing.
It actually defaults at 80. 80 is just too much low end. So.
Yeah, for sure. But it depends, like because it depends on what I do on the back end of the plugin, because I might go back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'll balance them.
Okay, so that's the R bass, and then
the compression on this is my favorite. Like,
so this
really
compression is the Shadow Hills. So on
the compression
Shadow Hills,
sounds fucking awesome on this. Plugin.
How much gain reduction you doing on it?
So I take this up pretty high, and I usually leave it on A, whatever the default is on the mode.
The default is B actually.
Okay, so that's the default. Yeah, so I leave it on the default, and I'm usually like where it has the compression knob on this UI right now. Where it's like at 4 o'clock
I go
or
off
so.
the meter, but I don't go off where the knob may.
I mean, I'm going by my ears most of the time, right? But like I'll go about like 4 o'clock on that, like 3 to 4 o'clock.
Well, I'm going by my ears, but I'm usually getting anywhere from 0.5 to -1.
Nice.
Jaycen recommends -1. -1 can be a lot, but
-1 is where he hits the Shadow Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the A mode, I believe, is the iron mode, and then the B mode is where it's going down to the 50 hertz area. Yeah. So like the 100 or the 50. So A is like focusing on 100, B is focusing on 50.
Our music between me and you are just very different a lot of times.
Yeah,
like you're doing more like for your personal stuff is more funk, and a lot of what I
mix
do,
pop, I mix
of course.
I mix hip hop, rap, trap, all sorts of shit.
Yeah. And then the lift. So the lift is the black box.
Yeah, it's funny that you know what these are, because I did not know what any of these were.
Oh, well, he explained them. That's why.
I never like looked at them like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you know his chain, I know where his chain is.
This does not sound like that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's its own thing. To me,
it's based on it though. Like, so I know what it's doing.
It's based on like what he's trying to achieve with the thing. Yeah, I get that.
So it's the black box analog on the lift.
Yeah, cool. So the lift is awesome. I really like it, and I think it. Usually for me, the lift doesn't sound as much like the black box, because the black box to me does something different than this lift does. Yeah. This lift to me sounds like parallel compression. It sounds like low-level information coming up.
Oh, it sounds like parallel distortion, which is kind of what it's definitely doing. And in fact, I hear it in the high transients a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that's the triode.
Yeah,
You know,
so
the
that's what I'm
second
saying. It's,
knob on the
like I said, it's
black
not
box.
exactly these things, but it's
not
based
at
on
all.
it.
Not
Like
at all.
he explains it himself. But
I think it sounds better.
so
than
what
those.
percentage you on the lift?
So the lift really depends. What I'm doing with the EQ and the parallel stuff on the back
Yeah.
end. But I'll kind of mess around with the lift.
It definitely crushes and does interesting things.
Like
with
I
tangents.
gotta be careful with it. So I usually am like 50% to 60.
Yeah, I start at 50, and then sometimes I'll go up to his recommended 80%, which is what he keeps it at.
Yeah,
But
I mean that's what he
just
does with
depends.
the black box. He blends it
Yeah.
down to like 80%.
So his 80 is his standard. So
Yeah, dude, this is a great plugin, by the way.
it's
So
it's
good.
very nuclear though. Like that's why
It's
we have to talk
intense.
about it. Yeah,
It's
it's
intense.
very
It's intense.
intense.
A
For
little
good,
bit goes a long way.
Yeah.
But you got, like I said, like it's all about gain staging. If you
Yeah.
gain stage this right, it's perfect. You're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, this sounds so good.
You have to feed it right.
You have to think like you're mixing and mastering drums. You're not just like putting a plugin on to make my drums sound a little bit better. You're mixing and mastering your drums.
Yeah.
And I'll even throw the bass through this as well with the chain.
Oh, I have a separate bass bus, but
Yeah,
I follow.
it depends. I'll
he,
try
He
both.
has his own. He has his own bass bus that I still use as bass bus. But
All right, EQ. Let's talk about this because this is like one of my favorite sections.
I don't actually do too much EQ. I'm going to be completely
Okay,
honest.
so-
I might add some high end, and that's usually what I'll add back on this.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
for me, definitely the 10K band is like amazing on hi-hats, cymbals,
Exactly. That's
etc.
what I'm saying. I'll add some high end back if I need it.
So good. And then the 3K is amazing on the snare drum.
Okay.
Like it's just so good. And then I also will sometimes, instead of using the parallel, because there's a sub.
These are all parallel EQs, by the way. Yeah.
No. The back end is the parallels.
Yes.
the
those
faders.
are all chains. Those are all his auxes. So
Yes.
his low end air and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that has a sub on it. So I'll mess around with the 40 hertz either on the harmonic EQ or the sub, and I'll kind of balance those. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So because like sometimes
So you balance the EQ versus the sub.
the sub parallel.
The sub parallel.
Yeah, because sometimes that 40 hertz is too much on the EQ.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you just do like a little touch of it, like a tiny bit of it, and then you blend in with the sub parallel, just a touch of that, it's like, whoa, there's like a sweet spot there. You'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll keep it real. A lot of times I don't have any issues with low end going on my drums. So.
Yeah, fair.
My kick
I
and
agree.
even my snare, like if I need low end, I'll add it on the actual channel. But
Yeah. But you
I'll
can
try
use,
not to
you can use
parallel.
the 100 for like that really like boom, like punchy snare.
Yeah. This is, I guess, helpful if you're using a lot of loops and if the production has a lot of loops and you need,
Yeah,
you know
just
what I mean?
like pump it
overall,
up. It's
yeah.
like putting steroids on
Yeah.
it. Like for real.
Yeah, this thing is
It's like injecting your drums with steroids, straight up.
okay. So, are you using the clipping on the Fruity Loops, which is the last one
Are you talking about the loud
on the
or the grit?
Yeah, on the loud.
So I
And the
don't
grit, yeah.
use much of these.
Because that's the clipping right there. I don't either. I don't really need to clip like that. I still use standard clip, so if I need to clip, I'll clip past it. So
Yeah, and that's usually like on my master.
that's my drum mix. Is my main drum mix. Everything goes to that. This feeds that, and I'll clip on that just so that I don't. And that's just to make sure that when I hit my master, I'm not having.
Yeah, because I'm not really into parallel clipping, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not parallel clipping. I'm just
You know what I'm
clipping
saying?
my
You're hard
entire
clipping,
drums.
or you're
yeah.
soft clipping.
Yeah, soft clipping
Right.
my entire drums if I need to.
So you're using standard clip?
yeah,
do you
I've
use
tried to use. I've tried
soft
to
clip?
use gold clip. I've tried to use.
You soft clip? Oh, you should use orange clip, bro.
I've tried to use orange clip.
Dude,
Yeah.
I got the new orange clip V3.
You were putting me on a lot of clippers. I still can't. I still don't like
standard
anything.
clip is really good.
That's what I'm saying. I still don't like
really
anything
good.
better than standard clip. And
Well, I mean, with drums,
I've really wanted
with drums,
to.
it's
I've
hard.
wanted to,
It's hard
yeah.
to get off that.
Yeah,
it is
it's crack
It is
cocaine on
like,
drums.
oh yeah, I know how to get there.
Yeah.
I know how to get there real quick.
But then again, I still use my BX Digital V3 on most of my mixing.
Yeah,
so,
fair.
You know, I'm still.
Okay, so I just got Ryan Schwab sent me Orange Clip 3. I'm gonna make a YouTube video on it. By the
Yeah.
way. Like I'll do a long form on it. It's dude, you're gonna start using that. I promise you.
I've
And
used the FL.
you just go hard on it. Like you turn the knob all the way up so it's a hard knee. And dude, I'm telling you, just kind of take off the tops just a touch, and then pump up the output a little bit, like make up the gain. You're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna use this instead of standard clip. I promise you.
All right. We'll see.
Because are you soft clipping or are you hard clipping on standard clip?
Oh, I'm soft clipping. So.
Okay, so you're using the slider. That's so good, huh?
I'm using it to right around 10%.
Bro, it's so good.
That's
I
what I'm
like
saying.
5 to 10% on that standard clip
Fucking
soft
money.
clip.
That's what I'm saying. Nothing's beating that. That's what I'm saying.
It's the harmonics in it, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
They're so good.
So this is all the nerdy shit, but I'm telling you, Yeah.
That's game though.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people don't understand Soft Clip Pro. That's what you put it on that setting on
Yeah, it never
standard
changes.
clip.
Yep.
Yeah. Soft Clip Pro on the standard clip, and you just fucking
5
bring
to
that
10,
slider
like you
up.
said,
Just
yeah.
bring that slider up. And you're going to want to like, dude, I used to want to like, I want to bring it up to 50.
So that's what I was saying. Those are big words. If you can replace that with Orange Clip, what do you say, V3? I haven't tried it. I don't know.
Different.
I've used regular.
It's definitely different.
Yeah. I'm not hard clipping.
What
though,
I
yeah.
would mess around
Yeah.
with, my like what I would try for you, right? You're at 10% now on the soft clip.
Yeah, I usually leave it there.
Bro,
and I change it if I need to.
Take it down to 5% and then follow it with Orange Clip. Put it on a hard knee and just hard clip a little bit of the peaks, just so you can get a little bit more gain. I promise you it'll change your mixes.
Okay.
Because the thing is that happens with a lot of mixes where you can't get it loud enough. It's because you're not clipping the tops of the snare and the kick. And it's usually
You got
the snare.
overs and you're too dynamic.
Bro, just take the overs, take like a dB to like a dB and a half of the overs on the snare. Just where it takes the tops off and just fucking use that Orange Clip on there. I promise you'll be like,
dude,
shit.
Tell Schwab to give me a license, man.
I will. I'll hit him up.
I'll sing his praises once I get.
Yeah, we'll get him. We're gonna get him on the podcast. He's gonna come on the podcast for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, the Orion, dude, fucking hell, man. Like, what a like great like. Okay, between the God Particle and Orion, which is your favorite? Be honest.
I use the God Particle on more things just because, like, even the day of, before I'm even mixing, I'm throwing the God Particle on the day of stuff. But the Orion is such a beast. I just think both of them, you have to actually be an engineer to use.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if I wasn't an engineer,
the gain staging, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I wasn't an engineer and I had an Orion, because of course, you know, they're gonna sell them like hotcakes. But if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, that thing is gonna be some nuclear shit that's gonna make your shit sound
so
too crazy.
It's so true.
Like,
you'll
you know,
like,
how I was
why does it
complaining.
sound so bad?
You know, I was complaining about Fab Filter and everyone just EQing things to death. That thing is like the same thing. Like, you can really fuck up your drums in a bad way if you don't know what the fuck you're doing and what those things are. That's why I know every single part of that. I know exactly what it's doing, so I don't go fucking crazy.
That's so true.
Because that thing is easy to go crazy on. So yeah.
You can really fuck things up. But I think it has everything to do with gain staging.
Absolutely.
And like, how much are you processing your drums and stuff before it hits that? Because if you're doing all this processing, just turn it all off and then just use Orion.
Yeah.
That's my best piece of advice. Like, don't think that you're like this wizard, you know, I got my Fab Filter taking this and doing that, and then I compress with my LA 2A, and then I do this, and you know, you're like, no. Just turn all that shit off, put it through Orion, hit the meters, you know what I mean? And just mess around and be like, oh shit, this
That's
sounds
what I was
10 times
saying.
better.
So, because
one plugin, that's all you need. Really.
I remember back in the days before I had a studio, but gain staging is really hard if you don't have a tuned room.
It really is.
Impossible.
Especially the low end.
Absolutely.
Get down to 40 hertz and you're like,
and that's your mix right there.
Why does my shit keep going?
But you know how many times, like,
what is that crackle?
You know how many times I like listen back in the car, like, why is the snare so loud? You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. Like, all the things that we're talking about, you like, it requires a real engineer with like a nice room to, like, if you really want to get something really professional out of that plugin, because it can fucking eat your lunch.
I totally
and fuck
agree
it up,
with
you know what I mean?
all that. So. And if you don't have that, just use headphones. Like,
yeah,
really,
there's workarounds.
Really,
you know what I mean?
mix, like, seriously finish your mix with like the VSX. You know, like, really, like, just use that and trust that. You know, trust some good headphones. Don't
get Sound ID by what do you call that?
Yeah, like, totally Sonar Works.
Sonar Works.
Like,
Get some Sonar Works. Like,
just trust that.
You gotta just figure it out, because without a good listening environment, a plugin like that can send you in the wrong direction.
Dude, I'm like all talked out.
Yeah.
I'm all talked out.
Let's go get some more drinks.
Yeah. I hope you guys really enjoyed the podcast. If you did, make sure you're subscribed. Drop some love in the comments. Ask questions. We'll answer some of your questions on the podcast. We always try to answer questions, but if we don't have any to answer, can't really answer any questions. So
we'll get some guests too. We'll get some.
We got guests coming. I got a lot from NAMM to NAMM. Tomorrow I'll be at the Grammys, so probably bump into some people. But thanks for tuning in, you guys. You know where to find Kevin, at kdebeats on all platforms.
On everything.
On everything, even his cell phone. Text him at kdebeats, bitch. And at bradleyhd.
High definition.
We'll see you on episode 5.